to understand what a yoga, where the yoga is coming from. Yoga has nothing whatsoever to do with headstand or back bend or vrukshasana or all these asanas. Yoga has nothing whatsoever to do with this. Yoga has nothing to do with health and fitness. Now, this is where the yoga philosophy is coming from. And in the yoga philosophy, their main, you have to understand what their main theory is. The main theory is that in my system called Neil Kulkarni, there is one soul. It is called Drashtu, Purush, whatever you want to call it. That soul is there. There are two things must happen in that. The first thing what must happen is, I should understand that I am not body and I am not mind, but I am that soul or I am that Purush. Once I understand that, my first job is done. That means, once I understand, I completely come out of the pain. Even if you kill me after that, like Jesus Christ went on cross and he is not feeling any pain. He is forgiving the people. You will come to a place where you will not feel any pain, because the pain belongs to body and the mind. So their first aim is to realize that soul. That's the first thing will happen. Now what happens is that their theory is, as long as you live in the body, you will do something. And if as soon as you do something, you will create a mistake. This is the theory of Christianity, that nobody can be without sin. It's impossible to be without sin. Because as soon as you do something, even the Jain person who is walking on the road, he is killing some insects below his feet. So you'll find that some Jain people, they watch the road throughout the walking. That is a 45. Very good. So now, there are some Jain people, they cover this mouth because they think that the insects will go and they'll kill the insects. So the first thing is you will realize your soul and you will come out of the pain. That is the first theory. Second is, as long as you live in this world in a body form, you will be now creating some sin. Then you will have to work out that sin. That's the karma theory. Now, as long as you go on doing this, you will never be able to come out of the pain completely. Or you may be having the pain, a painless mind or painless state, but you still are going through that event, or you will be causing some problem somewhere. So therefore, their second goal is to completely come out of this body-mind existence. That means that you will only live in a spiritual state. That is called spiritual liberation. It is called Kaivalya. Means you are living only in a spirit state. Now the problem is that spirit doesn't have any dimensions. Like we said, that it cannot be touched or it cannot be felt. So whether there is one spirit or what happens to the spirit once it realizes and when it goes there, and what happens now, suppose he is spiritually liberated and I am also liberated. Both of our spirits don't have any dimensions. So is this going to be one spirit both into one, or it's going to be more? All those questions are not answered by yoga philosophy. You have to understand, it doesn't answer all the questions. Therefore, the yoga philosophy is not complete even today. But I just want to tell you that Kaivalya is the second goal. First goal is to know your soul, and second goal is to liberate from here. In the Vedanta, similar thing exists. That the first goal is to get the knowledge of the Brahman, but in Vedanta there are no two goals. In the Vedanta there is only one goal. That means as soon as you know your Brahman, immediately you are liberated. Actually, in the Vedanta there is one. In Vedanta also there are various philosophies. One of the philosophy in Vedanta is called Advaita. Means their philosophy is like this. You are already liberated. Not that you have to liberate. You are already liberated. You think you are not liberated. That is the problem. So therefore you will find some of the Advaita Vedanta teachers, for example, who are you? Think you who you are. Power of now. All these they talk, but actually you'll find that when they actually act in the life, they don't act like that. While telling, they will say, who are you? But if somebody hits their car, they will sue him. So they have not realized, they are only talking about the theory. It will be very difficult for you to find one person who really believes that he is the soul. In fact, my personal belief is that as long as you are in body, it is impossible to be Brahman. You have to eat. You will feel hungry. If somebody puts a needle here, you will feel the pain. Yes, you can forgive that person, but you still feel the pain, and you will feel the hunger. Not only that, suppose I feel that yes, I am Brahman and I am not feeling any pain. Now, if my child also is feeling pain, I should feel the same if I believe in the Brahman. That means if my child dies today or gets fever, I should feel that no problem is there. He is a Brahman anyway. Brahman doesn't die. But I don't feel like that. So you will find that some people, they for themselves, they feel like a mother. Mother feels that she can starve for the child, but she doesn't believe that child also should starve. So what happens is that when it comes to practice, one has to judge, because why I am telling you this is, some of you are practical yoga students or practical spirituality. I will tell you from my experience that when it comes to practice, no matter who tells you what, you will have to decide your practice. You will have to decide yourself whether you want to be totally vegetarian, without milk, or fish oil is okay, or whether you are going to only eat fruit. All this you will have to decide. And another thing is that the whole problem with this philosophy is that when you go into higher stages, it is impossible for you to transmit it to another person. Transmitting the energy, doing the Shakti path or raising the Kundalini is not spiritual. It's only up to certain extent. It helps. It might help. It might give her a divine vision. She might see the colors. Fine. She believed it. Ultimately, she has to do her own practice, and when it comes to practice, she has to form her own practice, and she has to satisfy herself. Because you will find this, that even if there is suppose one realized saint or a guru, you will not find that all his disciples are following identically. In fact, most of they will tell them that you are not ready for this practice yet. So for some they will say you go and get married. For some they will say you do the monastic path. For some they will say don't worry, just go and do business only. Currently you need to earn money. So you will find that ultimately it comes to your own practice. You have to decide. Until you have come to that stage, you will need a guide. Once you reach that level, then your guide is going to tell you very little. That is why you will find that some great teachers, some of their students, they reach that level very fast. Then the teacher doesn't go on teaching them every day, because the student has to only practice. That means unless the practice level comes, they are all studying to get to that practice level. Now, I told you in the yoga philosophy what happens is they want to get to the soul and then come to the liberation. Now, all these philosophies, they have one standard text. That means that because of the historical development or whatever it is, intellectual, there are certain things which are believed more than others. Doesn't mean that others are of low quality or they are not believed. There are thousands and thousands, because if you go to India, there are thousands of books. Even today, they are not even known to people. There are some books which are not known. There are some books which are not even opened. So they do not know what knowledge is there in those books. However, certain of these philosophies or certain of these are considered standard. And out of these 6 astic philosophies which I told you, one of them is called Yoga Darshan. That means a philosophy of yoga in which these are the 2 aims. and the standard text is called Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. So Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, the timing which is assumed at as of now is around 300 years before Christ, is slightly after the Buddha, just after the Buddha's time period. And when Buddha lived, just before that, just after that Patanjali lived, and at the same time there is one great person who was born in India called Panini, who wrote the Grammar Sutras. So that Panini and Patanjali, they are very close to each other. And Panini has written one work which I talk about.
Lak Siddhant Kaumadi.
Yes. So now what happens is, the Patanjali, his book is considered as a standard yoga philosophy text. Today what you see in the yoga schools, asanas and all that, those are not there in Patanjali at all. Zero. Means there are many teachers who will tell you that there is one term called asana in Yoga Sutras. That has nothing to do with yogasanas. I teach myself yogasanas and I can do most of them. But I am just telling you that they are not the Yoga Sutras asanas. Now, this Yoga Sutras is written around 300 years before Christ. I want to tell you what the sutra means to some extent. Now we have approximately 1 hour, so we finish it in half an hour and then half an hour for questions. Sutra is one kind of text, and generally in Indian philosophy they write this text in a sutra form. There is one major reason why it is written in a sutra form. Sutra means a small sentence without any words. Most of the time it is very, in English language you can call it aphorism. But sometimes aphorism is a complete statement. Like I wrote health and yoga aphorisms around 10 years ago. They have complete sentences. But sutra is not even having the words. It's a very small sentence. That time, at least in the Vedas time, definitely there is no writing. So whatever knowledge you have, it has to be memorized. So the Vedas, the original Vedas, there are millions of mantras, out of which 10,000 mantras are available today in Rigveda. All those have to be memorized only. And for last 7,000 years, they have been carrying on those mantras by memory. You have to go on memorize. Somebody will be there, some good student will come to you. You go on memorizing them. I told her yesterday's chanting workshop that there probably are only 10 persons now in India. There is nobody else in any other part of the world who knows Vedas by heart. So that one of the person I saw. Once he starts singing, it takes him 2 months to finish it. And the way it is tested is that there are people sitting around him. There should be no mistake made. Even one mistake made, he has to correct it. When he completely sings without any mistake from memory, that person is called, he is given one title in the Vedic Ganapati like that. Now, Vedas are very old. I am talking about, Vedas are around maybe 7,000 years old. We are talking about Yoga Sutras which are around 2,000 years, 2,000 to 3,000 years old. That time also, this knowledge has to be memorized. Second is, this is my own theory now, because yesterday I gave one workshop called Chanting for Yoga, and that subject is very small amount is existing now in the yoga field. But I want to make that subject more systematic. I have already formed it in my chapter 15 of my book, but I want to make that into a more systematic way of teaching. And one of the advantage of memorizing is you will find that when you chant those mantras, the meaning of that mantra comes in your mind. So the contemplation takes place either in the conscious level or even to some extent subconscious level. And you don't have to carry that text with you. Even if I am in a train or in the aeroplane, I can in the mind memorize text, I can revise and I can contemplate and build on it. I will be chanting maybe the 4th chapter.